Okay, we looked into Investigation 5 today and density. Here are some of the vocab words that we have: convection, convection cell, density, and again, the density is the difference between the mass divided by the volume. We have the equilibrium, fluids, mass, and volume as part of our words. For the lab that we did today in class, our challenge was to create a layer of red water and a layer of blue water in a vial of plain or clear water. And we have our diagram here. We have our hot red water and our cool blue water and the room temperature water. And the goal is to get them to layer. So here was the lab that we did. Adding the cold blue water. The colder blue water is denser and heavier, so it will sink or stay down the bottom in comparison to the room temperature water. Next, we're going to be adding the hot red water. The hot red water is going to be less dense, and the particles are going to be a little bit more spread out in comparison to the colder, denser blue water. So with the hot red water, you can see that it will float on top of the room temperature clear water. And we can get the different colors to layer just based off of the temperature of the different waters. The colder blue water will condense and be a little denser and heavier, and again the hot red water will expand and be less dense. And as we go down through this, we'll see here that the densest color was the blue, the least dense was the red. What happens after it sits for a few minutes, if we look off to the side, I have one here, and we can see that the red is starting to sink down and the blue is starting to rise up. The red water starts to flow down towards the room temperature water. As the red end cools, it becomes denser and eventually reaches the room temperature, and it starts to mix with the clear water. And the same thing happens with the blue. The blue will start to literally warm up and rise, and the red will start to cool down and sink. With the next question, what do you think would happen if we placed the layered vial in a cup of hot water, 2 centimeters deep? Here we can see I've actually placed a vial of the layered water into a container with some warm water, and I'm warming the water up a little bit more. We could also see that the red water is starting to cool down and sink, but as we start to add that warm water to the bottom, we could see that the blue, cooler water is actually starting to warm up and rise. And it is going up and mixing then with the clear room temperature water. And as this continues to warm up and rise, we can see more and more of that starts to warm up. And we can even see when I add the other one in there, we can watch this happen again. The blue cooler water will start to warm up and rise as we go through this. Again, in looking back over the answers there, you can see that the blue cooler water will warm up and become less dense as it starts to then rise up and mix with the room temperature water. And finally, that last question there, explaining the relationship between temperature and density. When temperature increases, molecules in a fluid or material move more quickly. The fluid or material will expand and become less dense, causing it to rise up or either float on top of another object. When the temperature decreases, the molecules will slow down, causing them to contract and become denser, heavier, and allowing them to sink or remain lower in a fluid. We also read an article in class on convection. The article just kind of gives some more examples on some of the things that we're talking about as we're talking about density and convection with convection cells. It also starts to then talk about how convection cells affect weather on Earth, especially around the equator. And that's an important concept that we have to start going over the next couple classes as we talk about how convection affects the Earth as it transfers heat throughout the atmosphere. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by in class and ask.